Okay, let's start. Okay, so welcome to our first online meeting of the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board. Welcome to our guests. So our first thing this morning is we will go through, we don't have any public forum, I don't think, do we, Marlima?
We don't have public forum. I'm going to share my screen so you can follow along.
Okay, no, I've got it here, it's fine.
You've got it?
So let's just get rid of that. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll start with Debbie this morning, shall we? Would you like to speak, Debbie, about the Waldorf School?
Absolutely. Do I don't know this type of meeting. Do I just speak like this? That's okay.
Yeah.
So I'm applying on behalf of the Bay of Islands Waldorf Education Trust, or Oramahui Kindergarten, for running adult workshops. Obviously, they've been a bit delayed and put down the track because we haven't been able to meet, but now that we're able to meet again, we're just going to reschedule those workshops. Now, I have been asked why we've applied to the Kaikohe Hokianga Board rather than to the Bay of Islands. And the reason is that Oramahui counts as Bay of Islands, but we have been asked by the Ministry of Education that we focus upon getting children from the rural hinterland between Kaikohe and Oramahui, because there are a number of children there who don't attend kindergarten. So we are planning to do the bulk of our advertising, and for us, our workshops are advertising in the Kaikohe Hokianga area. So we offer two types of workshops, and one of them is skills for parenting, and we plan to offer waste-free parenting, which is teaching parents how to use reusable nappies and alternatives to wipes and all the things which go into our landfill. Workshop which costs $1,000, and as well as that, we wish to give parents free bags to give away, and that is something we very much want to advertise in the Kaikohe area, to hope to get to all the parents who are there. And we also do a gardening workshop. We have a biodynamic gardening workshop of gardening for children, which we are wishing to offer, and also another one on how to make edible gardens, edible landscaping. And last time we held the gardening workshop, we got quite a few people from the Kaikohe area. And as well as that, we do craft workshops. We are offering a workshop on doll making. Now, this doll making workshop is giving a child the doll which looks like them and is made to last a lifetime. And it's a skill which if parents learn, they can sell the dolls, or any adult learns, they can sell the dolls for between $100 and $200 online. They have quite a market, and so we consider it a marketable skill. And the other craft workshop we wish to run is on painting, how to do watercolor painting, and we have quite a well-known artist coming up from Mangawhai to run that course. So what we are asking the Kaikohe Hokianga Board is whether they would consider funding half those costs to running the workshop, because we're a charity and we want to be able to give them to people, those workshops to people, at limited cost or koha.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. You're okay to take questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just run through the list. Louis, do you have any questions for Debbie?
I had a look, and one of the ones was, why didn't you apply to the Bay of Islands? But you have got a presence in Kaikohe with the Kaikohe Steiner Play Group. Like, how many people are involved with that?
We're no longer running that play group because we couldn't get enough people and couldn't find a venue, actually. But we have a play group in the Waimate North area, which Kaikohe people and Okaiho people attend. We're also looking to start a Steiner school. So
yeah, I saw that.
Who knows what area that's going to end up in.
And you're renting a premises at the moment for about $300 a week, and you paying for a photocopier another $60 a week. How are you raising that?
That is correct.
How are you raising that money?
We get some Ministry of Education funding.
Okay.
All right, Kelly, do you have questions? Right. Everyone turn off their microphone until it's their turn, just in case. Cool. Okay, Kelly, do you have any questions for Debbie?
So you said that this request came from the Ministry of Education, that they wanted you to look between Aramahoe and Kaikohe rural areas. So are they giving you any funds towards this since they've asked you to do it?
So the Ministry of Education is giving us TAPS funding to go from being a rural kindergarten, which takes 25 children, to adding a new toilet and a new extension to our building so that we can go up to 40 children in order to encourage the rural hinterland between us to begin sending their kids to kindergarten. Now, we're still in the process of building that. The workshops which we're running, the Ministry of Education will not fund, but as far as we're concerned, they're a great marketing tool for getting people to come to our kindergarten and think, hey, this is great. We want to send our kids here.
And are you going to charge for this workshop, or is this all for free?
Well, we're asking you for funding because ideally we wish to not charge and just ask people for a donation towards the power.
Oh, Emma.
And will they all be run at the Aramahoe kindergarten? The workshop?
Probably, yes. Yes, we have a good venue there to run things.
Right, Emma, your question. Emma, your microphone, Emma.
Not going to talk to us.
Emma, microphone.
Sounds like it.
Right, your question, Emma.
No, because the children in North Hokianga won't be involved.
Oh, okay.
Not at all.
Okay, Laurie, do you have a question?
Yeah, Debbie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
You can hear me? Debbie, there's
Yes, I can.
just a couple of things that have worried me over the years. One is the demise of Plunkett, and you've obviously touching on that as well, care for the babies. And the other one, is, of course, is dental health. Costs the DHB millions of dollars.
Yes.
What I would like to ask, do you get any funding from the Ministry of Health at all? Because you're certainly delving into that.
We get no funding from the Ministry of Health. And since I applied to you, we have had another course come up which somebody wants to run at our kindergarten, which is called Peaceful Parenting. And they wish to run a course teaching parents how to manage children so that they don't get into conflict and violence. And we would also quite like to run that. And we consider we meet a niche in the market for such courses.
Yeah, I'd just like to say well done. But I think the Ministry of Health should be supporting you as well.
Thank you.
Now, Debbie, I think Laurie has a good idea there. Once in the past, there was a funding applicant who also got a letter of recommendation sent to the DHB from us. So that may be something you want to ask for on the side.
Okay.
At some stage, we'll come back to you with that. Okay, Moko.
Okay, that's a good idea. Thank you.
Kia ora, Debbie. I noticed in your annual report that there is no chairperson, the secretary's resigned, and there's only one current trustee.
Which is me.
So between yourself as the treasurer and the centre manager, I just wanted to see if since this was on the 31st of March, if any of those positions have been filled since this report has come to us. I'd hate to think that you're there trying to keep
we presently have
float on your own.
We presently have a chairperson, Wayne Greasley, and we also have 4 other trust members, as well as me and the centre manager. We were just going through a process of change at the time with people who'd left the kindergarten.
Excellent. And sorry, can I have just a follow-up? So you guys currently cater for 25 children, and then with this Ministry of Education funding that is going to increase to 40 children, is there any certainty that we could have as the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board that those other 15 children will definitely come from our ward, per se from our boundaries? I know that the encouragement is that they will come from this hinterland between Kaikohe and Oromahoe. Is there any guarantees that we'll know that this potential funding that we could put into your hands is going to benefit the residents of our community board area?
I cannot put in a guarantee on that. I know that that is where our marketing is going to be based, is around that area. But we could, once we're just waiting for the final council consents before we can apply to up our license, we could report back to the board on how many people we end up with from that area.
Just is there you don't have any zoning of any form like that, but is there a process there potentially where in your enrolment it could be that if you are obviously from the Kaikohe Hokianga ward, or if that is what ministry wants you to target, that they will get positions over others? Or
We could definitely consider that, yes. That could be done.
thank you very much.
Okay, John Visage.
Yeah, I'm reasonably good. I was going to ask a similar question to Moko. Debbie, the population in the area you're covering, what is your current population distribution inside your school?
At the moment, most of our children are, we've got 3 children from Okaiho. We've got a couple of children from the Ohio area. We mainly have children from Oromahoe and Pakaraka area. And then we have probably a quarter of our children come from Kerikeri, because they come from the special nature of the kindergarten. And another 6 would come from Paihia.
Thank you.
Right, and finally, Alan, do you have any questions?
Can you actually see me on there?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
You look beautiful.
we can see your eyes and nose.
yeah. Yeah, I'm just sad that the health board don't fund the Plunkett Society.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Debbie, thank you very much.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
Debbie, Debbie, just before you go, if we
Yep.
do fund it, I'd like to be invited to one of the workshops just to have a look at what you're doing.
You're invited to them all. We'd
Oh,
love to
okay.
see you.
Anytime, if you just give us a yell, and I'll pop out.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Debbie. Right, Bart. Your turn.
My turn. Thank you for the opportunity in these strange times. It feels like we are Zooming a lot, or teaming a lot in this case. So we applied for a contribution to our operations, or some operational funding from the 3 community boards. I think this is the 3rd time we ask for a contribution. The Kaikohe Hokianga area remains one of the more difficult areas for us, probably because it's such a huge area and quite a bit of it is quite rural. So we not the main action comes from Kaikohe. So we have about 57 volunteers from Kaikohe, and I'm not sure if you know, we're one of the emergency essential services during the COVID crisis. So we started during level 4 already asking for spontaneous volunteers, and that was another 8 that put a hand up in Kaikohe. And on our website we had a request form for people who wanted was mainly about shopping, so people who choose to be self-isolation, so they couldn't do shopping. So we had about 6 requests also from Kaikohe. So we do had a few emergency volunteers from the Hokiangas, one from Rawini, from Kaikohe, and Waimāku, but we didn't have any requests that far away. So publicity is working. People know who we are and what we do, but we really need some more organizations to sign up and register opportunities for volunteers, because at the moment that is about 15, and that is and 7 casual ones. With casual, that means that they do use our professional development options, like the governance bites, which are funded by Foundation North, the Kaipara and the Whangarei district councils, and the first aid. But even the first aid was really hard to fill it up in Kaikohe. There was 22 spots, $30, the rest was funded. And I think we only had 3 people sign up. We really pushed using Sport Northland as well. So that's when I say it is one of the more difficult areas for us. I know there's enough people who volunteer and who could benefit from those professional development options, but not enough people engage. And so that's still something we there's a few other areas as well, I have to say. Paia, strange enough, is one where that doesn't really work for us. Kirikiri, Kawakawa, that all works fine. Kaitaia. But in the Kaipara we had also Mangawhai, which was really bad. More people who wanted to put a hand up for something, but there was just not enough organizations listing things, except for Mangawhai Museum, and that changed a little bit. Yeah, so we are working on 2 things. One is 2 different projects that we might change a few things. One is with MSD, so work and income. We running a pilot at the moment in Whangarei. This is something that has been in Wellington, with Volunteering Wellington for years already. That is where work and income clients, mainly sole mums and job seekers, are placed into volunteer roles, and for a few months, just to get back into that rhythm that will eventually lead to work, hopefully, because people get more connected, but it also starts with for people to get the daily rhythm back again. And when the pilot is successful in Whangarei, then we will roll it out, or MSD will roll it out all over Northland. So it started in February. So we had 10 successful placements, and then the whole lockdown started. So that's slowly being started up. But again, for this to be successful in the Kaikohe Hokianga area, we need organizations to list opportunities for volunteers, because they also have to have some choice. So that is a bit of a concern, although there are some, and maybe when it starts, that then other organizations list those opportunities as well. And the other thing that's on my wish list for a long time already, you might know I'm from the Netherlands, so most websites are multilingual. So you can click somewhere and then it changes from Dutch to English, French or Spanish or German, simply because the Netherlands is a very small country. And so So a bilingual website, that's something I would really like for our website. So we've been talking to a few people in the south, so in the Kaipara, but mainly in the far north, that it would mean it would be 100% bilingual. So if an organization lists an opportunity, then volunteers who do the translation, they would get a message, hey, there's something changed on the website. Would you pick it up and do the translation? So somebody might, one of those volunteers will do the translation, and then an accredited translator would sort of double check before it becomes online. So it would be a living thing, and what we hope to achieve is that Maori focused and Maori led organizations will open up a little bit more as well, because there's a lot of volunteering going on Marais, and well, you know that better than I do, and they might be open up a little bit more to the wider public, so looking outside their circles. That works really well, for instance, here at the Peiweri Marae in Whangarei. So there's gardeners that can be migrants actually, who just want to learn more. Yeah, so that might also give a bit of a boost in the far north. Probably there's more interest in the far north for a bilingual website than in Whangarei, in the Whangarei district. We're not asking for funding for creating a bilingual website. That is something we're looking at other areas where who would be interested in funding that.
Okay, Bart. Right. You okay to take questions, Bart?
Yes, please.
Okay, what I'm going to do is start with Moko, because you have a particular interest in this area, Moko, according to your big idea on Friday. So away you go.
That's right. Kia ora. Kia ora, thank you for that presentation. This is amazing, volunteering Northland. I actually took an idea to council and I called it Neighbourly North, and it was a place where you could list things you need volunteers for, and the community can answer to those calls. And it already exists, and it exists in you. So that's pretty awesome to hear it. And it's the first time I've ever heard of this organisation before. I had a couple of questions following on from what you were talking about how you have struggled here in Kaikohe and in Hokianga as well to get more organisations on board. Do you have any partnerships with any of the iwi runanga that we have, or the hapu runanga that we have up here in the far north, who obviously are, like you said, always calling, mobilising working bees and calling on volunteers to come in and help? Do you have any formal relationships with any of those groups at all?
No, that's one of the things that's really missing. So that's why we need to make a big step. We do have on our board a councillor from the far north. So there was Colin Kitchen from Kaitaia, and now Rachel Smith from the Bay of Island. Colin Kitchen is, by the way, now NRC and still on our board. But we need to build on those relationships. About you started about the neighborly type of listings for volunteers. Where I come from in the Netherlands, there's over 400 volunteer centers. So every small community has its own listing, sort of. In New Zealand, there's 17 regional ones, which makes it harder. Because if we would have, we did have actually someone in Kaikohe, Moena, who was trying to reach out to organizations to get them on board, and she gave up after 8 weeks. She said it was just too hard. So yes, if you know a trick, then I really would like to hear about it, because there's a need, and most volunteers do volunteer because somebody asks them. And that's basically what we do. We present a lot of opportunities, and a lot of people, when they have a look at the list, they say, "Hey, is that an option?" So publicity is key.
My other question was around like you said that there are professional development options that are there, and you had a first aid course that you were going to run. Did it end up running here in Kaikohe, but only 3 spots out of the 22 spots got filled, and you were subsidising that course, so it would only cost $30. What was if you did the course, were you expected to have some sort of volunteering give back, or was it an open call to those so that we have people in our community who had their first aid certificate, or can you explain that a little bit more?
Well, we worked with Foundation North. They funded 4 all over Northland, but also Oxford Sports Trust that was more focused on sports clubs actually. And so that's why we teamed up with Sport Northland. So they have their outreach people in, one is in Kaikohe, the other one is in Kaitaia. So we said, well, if you can find enough people in Kaikohe, because it was planned for the Red Cross office in Kirikiri, because they have premises, then we will do it in Kaikohe. And she could only find 3 people. And so she approached all the sports clubs, and we approached all our contacts. It is a full day course, but still, I was surprised. So that's when we moved it back to, it remained in Kirikiri at the Red Cross premises over there.
Okay, but we've got another 7 people to ask questions.
Oh, sorry.
So if you can all keep your questions quick, and if Bart, you can keep your answers quick. John.
Okay.
John Busich?
Yep, I'm here. Just a quick question, Bart. I've heard you before. I think it's a great organisation. I did ask before as well, and that is, have you connected with various clubs and organisations that do voluntary work and often have a network? For example, there's Lions and Rotary clubs, and I suspect in terms of Red Cross that no, I won't go into that. I'll keep it short. So if you could just answer that question.
Okay, yeah. So we did, and the strange thing is, quite a few of those organizations see us as competition. Like if you have a festival and the festival recruits volunteers through us, well, while normally the Lions would, let's say, arrange the whole parking or whatever it is for that festival, the Lions would be paid, and we would simply refer volunteers unpaid, and there's competition. So I have to say the Lions and the Rotaries, they don't like us that much, because for them volunteering is a bit of a fundraiser.
Okay, Ellen.
Well, I think a good way of getting information out to the Māori sector would be through the takiwa societies of each area. Like South Hokianga have Ngānaru Hokianga takiwa, and there's 12, 13 maraes involved with that. That would be a good way of getting out information and getting more recipients. And then there's takiwas spread out all around the entire north.
Okay, Ellen, do you have a question? I was going to say, if you don't have a question, I'll get you to talk to Bart on the side later, right?
Okay.
Cool. Yep. Okay. Louis?
Yeah, I was... Goedemorgen. Yeah, we've met before, and I after the last time you came to us, I talked to various community groups. I don't know if any of them ever got in touch with you and things like that. But I'm thinking maybe as a community board, we could sort of compile a list, which has been done in the past of various community groups in our areas, and we can convey that material to you. Would you then be able to reach out to those communities and show what's on offer? I know you've in the past have sort of said there was a charge. Is there still a charge to belong, or that year you waived the charges. So a number of questions there.
Okay, so yes, there is an annual fee, but we waive the fee if that causes financial burden. We waive the fee of about 10-15% of the organizations we work with. That list would be fantastic. I'm even prepared to do it the other way around. We have a list of what we call prospects and even suspects of non-profits that involve volunteers. I could give you guys that list and you could find, maybe just check out which are missing or which youth feels should really be advertising with us. So yes, I would be very keen.
Yeah, and
Bart, if you could just send that list to Marlema.
Yep.
Or whoever you and she'll get it out to us.
Thank you.
Kelly, during our first term, we compiled a list of all the volunteer groups in our areas. Do you remember that? We could find that list somewhere.
Okay, cool. Okay, Kelly, your question.
No, I'm all good.
Emma, do you have a question?
Your mic's off.
She's not here. Oh, there she is. Okay.
Somebody switched off the mics. Oh.
No, I think the presentation was good, but no, I don't have a question.
Thank you. And Laurie, do you have a question?
Just to say hi, Bart. Welcome to New Zealand.
Just one moment, Laurie's mic is off. I will switch it back on.
Sorry about that.
Just a moment, Laurie. Next one over.
A whisper.
With the one that looks like a microphone. Just there. There you go.
Sorry about that. I got reading glasses on. I just say welcome, Bart. Holland may be a small country, but it's got a big heart. And obviously you've got one as well. So welcome. I hope you're successful. Cheers.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Bart.
Okay. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks for coming. Okay, bye-bye. All right, Joe, are you around? Joe Noel?
He was there a second ago.
Okay, right. Okay, how about we get on to Cheryl? You there, Cheryl? We'll get back to if Joe calls back, Marlema, we'll get back to him after Cheryl. Eh?
Sure.
Cheryl, do you want to talk now, or do you want to talk as part of our? Oh no, we can do it now. You there, Cheryl?
It's easier for.
Yeah, no. What we'll do is we'll get all our visitors done and dusted, so you can get away and do your massive day's work, Cheryl.
You're so kind, Mr. Chair.
Away you go. Now, do you want to talk, or do you just want us to ask a few questions?
Yeah, would it be easier if you just
we will read the report. So what I'll do is I'll just go around the room and get any questions that you have. How's that?
Yep.
Okay, Louis, would you like to hang on? No. Emma, would you like to start?
No, not really. Oh, just Cheryl, sorry. Do you get to visit the other schools in North Hokianga? Because I noticed they never ever apply for funding.
I'm actually not in schools anymore, Emma. My role is more in the community now, and the north side is Joel Quitter Moses, who goes into the schools from Sport Northland. So, but I do send out the emails to like the office person and the sports coordinator for the applications. So it's a hard one, and I always make calls as well, Emma, but to answer your question, no, I don't go into schools anymore. That's my only way of communicating is through email or phone calls.
So if the school does need Joel, he'll go?
If they have signed up with him. If they've got an MOU with Sport Northland, yes, he will.
Okay, okay. No, that's all. Thank you, Cheryl.
No,
right, Laurie, you got a quick questions for Cheryl?
Yeah, we talked about. Do I have to press this now?
No, you're okay.
Okay, I've asked the question before. Miti Miti and Pangaru, they're a long way away and need travel allowance. But when you see the applications, there's 13,000 for us, Te Hiku 15,000, and Bay of Islands 20,000. Now, Kaio is not far from Kirikiri, Kaukau. They're sort of a close cluster, but our kids have to travel a long way. And I'd just like to know how they actually work out that. I know they've done it by population, but my question is, why can't we do it by need? Because those kids that have to come all that way, to me, we should be supporting them to be able to get in and have competitions with our, with this, when it's centralised. Can I ask that? I was on Sport Northland for 9 years, so I should know, but it was sort of just coming into to vague when it actually the giveaways. But to me, it should be based on the spread. Can you answer that at all, or?
Laurie, it comes from Sport New Zealand, the directive, and unfortunately it is just done by population. So I'm hearing what you're saying, and unfortunately... Can
we do anything about it?
You might be able to add a council in, but it comes directive from Sport New Zealand. So
okay.
Our hands are tied. We've tried, Laurie, from a Sport Northland perspective, because we work the areas and we understand the travel, what is involved for everybody, but it just doesn't seem to be
listened to.
Yeah.
And the other question I have is some of the applications are asking for petrol vouchers, and I'm just wondering how we actually control that. That just worries me a little bit, that it could be abused.
Well,
is petrol vouchers, what do you reckon about that?
Well,
like if they put the kids on a bus or a van and take them, I can understand that. That's easy and support all that. But when we're giving out petrol vouchers and they end up at McDonald's, am I being unfair?
Well, the thing is, petrol vouchers you can't use at McDonald's, Laurie. You've got to use them at petrol stations. So
no, I understand that, but it's whether they're actually using them to take their kids to play basketball or play hockey or gymnastics or whatever.
Well,
how do we actually monitor that?
Well, you can't.
No.
It's a trust thing. And when you think about it, yeah, it's just I can't answer that question, Laurie. I'm sorry. Like, yeah, it's just a trust that hopefully the money what goes to the clubs, they are using it for the right reasons.
See, another if somebody asks me the question, I need to be able to answer them to say, hey, that's been used for a good cause and they're taking the kids so that they have the opportunity. And they'll say to me, well, how do you monitor it? How do I give an answer?
Well, the thing is, when they give their project report, well, there isn't a way you can answer that question, Laurie, because how do we know? It's the only way we can do it is if hand out the money to every person who's using it, and you can see that it's, you line them up at the petrol station on a Saturday morning and say, rightio, here's $20 for your vehicle. Yeah, there's no answer to that. I'm sorry, Laurie.
Do we actually get a report back on how successful it has been
for
the year?
They just
like the applicants give numbers, but do we get a report back at all? Do you get a report back as Sport Northland?
Oh, well, they report back that everyone, it's been helpful for them to get teams to their events. I know that parents have come up to me and been very grateful, even though if it's been $30 for the whole season. They're still grateful for that small amount, because it's not really big money a lot of clubs are getting either, Laurie. You know, it doesn't really work out.
Just to me, the more kids we can get there, the better. And it's just being able to justify it. And I think we should get more money because of the distances our people have to travel.
Okay.
Thanks for your help. Thanks for your help.
Moko. Your turn, Moko.
No questions from me.
Okay. John Vucic.
Very quick question for Cheryl. Yeah, Cheryl, can you please do a survey? I think that will answer some of Laurie's concerns, which are good concerns, and certainly his point about fairness and equity given the travel. So you could do a survey across all of the 3 areas and just ask, it could be random, but a bit of a survey, ask the parents that was the money you received helpful, and did it cover your travel costs? Just those 2 questions. And then the results of that survey, we're looking at Te Heku, looking at the east, and we're looking at the west, would be a good gauge of how effective we are in our funding.
Well, thank you, John. Alan.
That's very clear to me, the application, and I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, Louis. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm fine. I just think about the injustice.
Kelly.
Yeah, no, I'm all good.
Okay, thank you very much, Cheryl.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, catch up.
Got it.
Right, Joe, how are you? Joe Noel.
Doesn't want to talk to us.
Joe Noel, is there?
Joe, you will need to unmute your microphone.
I'm just talking to Joe now, and he's saying he's there, he's everything else, he can hear everybody, but he can't be heard. So his mic is coming across as muted or not existing. Can someone please check that?
Sure, one moment.
Okay, well, here we go. Yeah, it doesn't.
Okay.
He's not muted.
So good morning. He isn't muted, and every now and then his name in the participation list will go bold, which signals that his voice is trying to be projected.
Okay.
So I wonder if it might just be worthwhile him trying to speak if he's not already.
Yeah. If he's got 2 microphones, he might have to select computer audio. Don't know if you can hear me. Choose a different mic.
Okay, do we want to come back to Joe? Okay, so if you guys can sort that out, technical problem, and when Joe's ready, before we go out to funding, then we'll talk to him. You got that, Melinda?
Yes, I've got that, Mike. We're working on it now.
Okay, thank you. Right, thanks, Joe. Okay, first item on our agenda, or next item on our agenda, is confirmation of previous minutes. Do I have a motion there?
Have we opened the meeting yet?
Yeah, we did that at 10:30.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
I'll move that we confirm the previous minutes.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay,
would you like to see that on screen?
No, we're fine.
You're fine? Okay, then.
Yeah, okay, so are there any corrections? So you should have had an opportunity to correct, but are there any corrections?
Yes, not alterations. I'd just like to make the comment that there were some questions asked, but there's no answers to them in this agenda. And I'm just wondering, Sean asked some questions about the water strategy, and what is written is incorrect, updated for 30 years. We know that it's been done since then. And the other one was the footpaths up Rankin Street. They actually have a very high subsidy from Transit New Zealand because it is a public bypass, state highway bypass. And I think when people ask those questions and when it's recorded in the minutes, then there should be an answer in the next agenda to those questions that those submitters asked. Okay.
Okay, we can discuss how we want to put that together after the meeting, Laurie.
That's okay. No, no.
Yep. No, it's because it's a good question, because those kind of things on how we arrange our meeting do need to be discussed.
Well, if people read the minutes and then they think, well, what happened? They need to know.
Yeah, sure. Okay, that's cool. Any further corrections? Okay, all those. Oh, sorry, I'll assume all those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Anybody against?
Aye.
I heard somebody there. Who's against?
No, I was too slow on the trigger for the eyes.
Okay, carried.
Carried.
Okay, so the next report is item number 6.1, page 19, Memorial Park Design.
Okay, if you give me 1 second, I'll bring Cheryl in. She wanted to participate.
Oh, okay, cool.
Carry on with the discussion. I'll just call her.
Right,
no,
so,
I am here. I'm here, Dolly.
Welcome, Cheryl.
Okay,
I'm just trying to find the item in the agenda. What page did you say, Mike?
19.
19.
No.
Okay, right. Do I have a motion on this?
Mike, I just saw Catherine's commented if you wanted to do that before this.
Joe's online.
Oh, okay, hang on. Okay, so no, we'll carry on. So, Catherine, do you have a? Oh, okay. Okay, we'll get to it after this, Catherine.
Okay, no problem.
Just hold on there, right? Okay, I'll put my chats back up. Okay. Hang on. Right. Oh, okay, thanks, Aisha. Right, do I have a motion for this, please?
Well,
Okay.
I've got some questions. I've got some questions I'd like to ask.
Okay, we'll take a motion first so we can put it on the table. So you're moving it, are you, Moko?
I'll move.
I'll move.
You just.
Okay. I'm not good. I'm not getting. Okay, so John, did you move that?
I'm happy to move.
Okay, so John Busich moves that the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board staff to commission a site plan for Memorial Park, Kaikohe, with the allocated funding of $17,000. Do I have a seconder, please?
Yep.
Right, Alan. Right. Okay, so John, would you like to speak?
I think it's great. We need that buddy up. ARCO as a body have great design capabilities, and they do consult with local people, and they involve them in that. So I'm happy to do that. Support that. I don't know if there was anybody going to signal a amendment to that.
Well,
Maybe
I'll certainly be asking questions, John.
Yeah. I think Rob, I'm just you in previous discussion, Laurie, and I think there was maybe amendment, but no. Look, I support it that figure. So I'll leave it over to other comments.
Alan.
I support the proposal as well, Mike. Yeah, I think they do a very professional job.
Right. Okay. Why don't we get to your questions, Laurie?
Okay. First of all, if I was an architect, I'd be asking 8%, 10% of the overall cost. Now you've got 17,000, so to fund it, you'll most likely need 170,000. Now, where's that money coming from? Number one. And number two, there's a car park right next to the Winds building that, well, first of all, the Winds building used to be on council property, but now it's under private ownership. Who owns that car park next to it that the Winds park their cars in? Is it council owned, or was it sold to a private? That's something I need to know, because that could be involved. And the third comment I'd like to make is, if the basketball court was moved a little bit to where it is put, it would have been much cheaper because the ground would have been level. There was quite a big difference between one corner to the other. So that's something that before things are built, there should be an overall check on the design. I've got no trouble with the people and all that. I just wondered how we're going to fund it. That's all. 17,000. It's pen and paper, not bricks and mortar. I'd like to see bricks and mortar. And if 17,000 would go a long way to actually improving that park.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Laurie. Louis, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I was reading through the contracts and I've got a few issues with regard to that. Like it leaves, there's a lot of open-ended things where more charges could be added to it, like for employing architects or architectural designers and craftspersons. Now it says $100 plus GST, but I presume that's going to be per hour for those things instead of just a flat rate for all of them. It could end up costing us a lot more, and there's a number of areas in that thing where they could be charging it for extra money, like for postage, courier services, printing, colour printing, all these things that come in a list at the back, which could make it 20,000 or 25,000.
Right, I'm going to ask Cheryl to comment on that, but my gut feeling is you've got a standard contract, okay, and it's been tough enough for them to get this. It's not going to go up. There is no more money beyond this, Louis. So my gut feeling is it ain't going to happen. It's just a standard contract. But Cheryl, would you like to comment on Louis' comment?
Yeah, I've got nothing more to say other than what you just said, Mike. It's just be pretty standard.
Yeah. Okay. Kelly. Your turn,
So
Kelly.
when it's completed, I asked this before, do we own this? We own the concept plan, not them. So when it's finished, they're going to hand it over to the board or to the council.
Yes, absolutely. The board staff will commission them to do the work on behalf of the board. The board will own the design, the site design. And then I'm thinking that the whole thing will be done, like hand in hand, that the community board will be totally across what I'm thinking is all of the design development, and then the board's going to have to apply its mind to, okay, so how are we going to make this a reality? How are we going to approach council to make sure that the funding is set aside and plans, etc. So now is probably a really good time to do this because we're entering into the next long-term plan. So it's a good time to actually get this stuff, the capital works, into the long-term plan, so we don't have to have this conversation after the LTP is passed. Yeah. We make a plan and we'll stick with it.
Right.
Okay, good.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Your turn.
Kia ora. Hey, I know that ARCO worked on the NZTA town plans, so it would be something that I know that they would make cohesive with what they worked on with that as well, which I really support. I know that the other option is that we just choose a spot to put some toilets and put them there, but then COVID's happened anyway, so that's, I'm guessing, likely to have been pushed back anyway. When we look at ARCO doing this master plan for us, what's our expected time frame for getting this back and then being able to get the ball rolling in terms of these toilets, which this come about against? We wanted toilets, now we're going to get a plan. Are these toilets now going to be pushed like 5 years down the bloody line so that we can line up our ducks in a row? And then COVID 2021 might come along, or?
No, so look, my plan on this would be, and we engage with ARCO straight away, get the work done fast, so that we can construct the toilets during the summer construction season. So that'll be later on, and I think that starts in about September. So I know that the Capital Works project team are chomping at the bit to actually spend the money because it's in the 1920 financial year. But we can defer, we can carry that money forward to 2021. But I'd be very, very keen to see those toilets go in this construction season, which means we have to get the site plan done now. It's, with a bit of intense work on it, I can't see that will be an issue to achieve. I really can't. But we can talk to Anna and her team and make sure that we can move fast on it once you make this resolution today.
Awesome.
Right. Emma, do you have a question?
Okay, if we get those toilets there, are we also still going to continue with the toilets that we have just outside the library? Because that's not too far.
Yeah, so that's a different story, Emma. We've got the NZTA township plan has been done. That work has been done. You might remember that there's a town, I can't remember what it's called, Mike. What's the big fund that CapEx works, the town beautification or streetscape?
Yeah, it's a town, was it Main Street or something?
Yes, streetscapes or something like that. There's a sizable amount of funding and capital works just waiting for us to decide what to do with Kaikohe. And I think that post-COVID would be a really great time that, you know, let's get the plans for Memorial Park done and then apply ourselves to some what they call master planning for, sorry, I haven't got my video on. Sorry, I'm just talking to you all as if you can see me waving my hands around. I think it would be a really good time for us to then engage in some master planning for Kaikohe itself, and that whole square where the library is and the toilets, it's pretty sad. I walk through there often and think, gosh, this could look so much nicer. I think that would be an ideal place to put our attention. So where we would go from with this thought is we would need to talk to Daryl Sargent, who is the GM for strategic planning and policy, because we'll need to engage with urban design and master planning resources to do it. And I think that if we were to ask the district in general who wants the master planning done, you'd get, you know, all of the urban areas would put their hands up saying that they want to urgently be master planned. So there's kind of, we'll need to get in fast, guys. And ask for Kaikohe to be first cab off the rank. I think it would be fabulous.
Okay. Louis, you already had a question here?
Can I just, sorry.
Hang on, I haven't had my turn yet.
Oh.
So I'll have my turn. And then if there's any time, I'll get back to you guys. Hey, look, I mean, I'm all for this. I think we've had enough of just plonking stuff down. I mean, I know that engineers think like you, Laurie. Look, it could have been put over there because the ground is flatter and saved a few $1,000s. But if further down the line that causes other design problems, then we should have thought about that. And I'm just quite honestly sick of things being plonked down by engineers and Kaikohe. You know, these engineers have to take direction from people who know better than they do how everything fits together, and which is the reason I was so against the council putting in toilets early, because they would have put them in the wrong place. You know, I mean, ARCO quite clearly said that the X on the plan is we'll put toilets there somewhere. Yes. And the engineers picked it up and says, oh, look, there. Okay. Yeah. So no, I mean, we've got to start designing, and we've got to start designing now, because as Cheryl said, there is a lot of potential. Okay, the design starts things. Okay, we've had the whole lot of shovel-ready projects, none of which ended up in the West because there's nothing designed. Okay, you know, when it comes to long-term plan, councillors like to see something planned, and then I'll put some money towards it. And when you go to funders, they like to see something planned. And if we can have a plan where we move towards, then we're not plonking things down randomly just because some engineer says, oh, there's a bucket of money. It's going towards the final result. So one day, hopefully, Kaikohe will look like it all fits together. And more than just looking great from Mount Kaikohe, it'll look great when you're walking through Kaikohe. That's where I want it to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a quick 30 seconds from you, Louis, a quick 30 seconds from you, Emma, and then finally from John. Then we'll put this on to bed.
Yeah, well, the point I was going to raise is when are we going to get these plans for our areas? Like the playground in Mapiri is falling in the ocean. Rawan is begging for a playground area. Like we're not getting anything out there.
Okay, Louis, and I'm going to say the same thing to you as we always get told in the West. Okay, get to it. Okay, if you don't just start the damn thing, and from my point of view, this community board will be supportive. I know when I've gone to CE, he has never been supportive of design in Kaikohe. Okay, but as far as I'm concerned, if you bring it here, then we will start working on that. But just because we're doing something in Kaikohe, it doesn't mean we're not going to do something in Hokianga, as I said before. Okay, I mean, we love Hokianga.
Yep.
Okay, but please, you know, we just let's not do things in Kaikohe just because at the same time we're not doing things in Hokianga.
But plans have been submitted in the past and they've just disappeared.
Okay, well, I don't know about that. Okay, Emma.
Freeze Park.
Sorry, Mike, I'm very happy with what you've said, and I agree. Kaikohe is our main town. And yes, I think we need to do something there first and foremost, because people come through Kaikohe before they come to us.
Okay, so, Cheryl, you'll find a word before I get back to John.
Yeah, I think that'll be great.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I hear where the community board is coming from. I know that you've had plans in place in the past, Louis, and they've just disappeared down a black hole. My advice to the board would be, why don't we formalise a sense of place program for the Western Ward? Why don't we declare it to council that we are going to forge ahead, we are going to start with Kaikohe, we are going to do some good old-fashioned planning about what a sense of place feels like and looks like and would operate and what it would cost, and then start driving everything the community board does into that and beyond out into the Hokianga. Right, I think that would, I saw this happen in Whangarei when we had a GM there when I was working there who had a real thing about sense of place, and it was the Hatia Loop walkway, if any of you have ever done that, was his brainchild, even including all of the art and sculpture work on that loop walkway, and it has added to the sense of place in Whangarei, there's no doubt about it. And I would love to see the same thing happen in the Western Ward, and I think post-COVID-19 it would be just the treatment for the community. I think they'd love it.
Okay, and just to add on that, Cheryl, the Bay of Islands Community Board did something similar with their footpath funding one time. They just said, we're going to save up all our footpaths and do this big footpath. In the end, they didn't need the money for the big footpath, but they did say we're going to save it all up. So if this idea of yours there would take root in the board, then, you know, maybe every spare bit of money we get, we invest, because it is an investment, right?
Yes, I think what you do is when you're taking funding decisions or thinking about how to spend your money, you run a sense of place lens across it.
Yeah.
Is this the right thing for us to do? Does this meet with the, you know, the direction we've decided to go? And I just think that the term sense of place is really hearts and minds as well as infrastructure. You know, it's more than, it's about how does it feel to live here and to walk around this place every day.
Okay, Cheryl, can I ask something of you now? And I guess you like to run it past somebody who can allocate your time to it. But can I get you to get a workshop together with us for you to flesh out in our minds of what that might look like and how we might start moving towards it?
Yep, I can do that.
Great stuff. Okay. Thank you very much. And finally, John, your right of reply.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you everybody for where you're going. Love your points, Mike and Cheryl, and Louis. That's the only way to go forward is by putting together a plan and then sticking to that. That way we can secure the funding in the long-term plan and keep everybody's legs to the fire to make sure that basically that we work towards it. So we then measure the progress. I would also add, Cheryl, let's put in social procurement as well, given that we've got a recovery we're trying to do in that.
Yes.
Mix. So,
yes, totally.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Okay, right. I'll put the motion that the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board are staffed to commission a site plan for Memorial Park, Kaikohe, with the allocated funding of $17,000. So I'll take the ayes first.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any against? And anybody who didn't vote?
I didn't. Sorry, I'm a bit slow. I was just opening. Yeah, no, but I'd like Cheryl to give me the answers to that car park, because I think that may well be part of either the funding for that development, or if we own it, I'd like to know. Yeah, I'd like to counsel.
Thanks, Laurie.
We'll make sure that the site plan includes who owns each part of it.
And I'd also like to make the comment that the toilet that was moved to the Pioneer Village, the Plonkon, was destroyed 3 times where it is shown on the plan within the Memorial Park. And I'd just like that to be taken into consideration. It needs to be put, and I suppose when we're talking to the planners, that can be done, where it is shown, or it's within the public face. If you put it somewhere out of the way sort of thing, then it's going to get damaged, and it would be a shame to build something. And I mean, so far, great progress has been made.
Yeah, I mean, ARCO are very aware of that, Laurie.
Yeah.
And that's something that's right on the forefront of their minds. Is what do we do to stop vandalism?
But I'd like to know the legal position of that car park.
Right. Okay. Motion carried. Thank you, Cheryl. Okay.
All good.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you need me anymore, Mike? I've got a workshop to plan for this afternoon.
No, that's fine. You're away.
All right. See you guys. Thank you.
Right, Catherine, do we have Joe on his microphone?
Yes, we do have Joe. I've got him on my phone. I'll hold him up. Joe, here you go.
Thank you very much. You can hear me okay?
Yeah, just wait.
I'm getting a bit of feedback. Just a moment.
Yay, technology.
There.
There you go, Joe.
Right, okay. All right, well, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I just want to talk to you about the application for the community patrol funding that I made earlier on. For those of you who don't have any knowledge about the community patrol, we started as or the whole movement started as an informal process for groups like Night Owls. And the police eventually discovered that was quite a good resource, and as a result, the Community Patrols of New Zealand was set up, and they have a memorandum of understanding with the police, and each patrol is affiliated to the CPNZ, and therefore all the police stations and all the patrols abide by the same set of rules. The memorandum sets out what the police expect from us, and vice versa. We are entitled to expect things from the police. And we're one of approximately 300 similar patrols in New Zealand. And we presently have 9 patrollers. We're doing a 1 in 4 week patrol. We're fully equipped with vehicle, uniforms, police radio, and a safety alarm. And the vehicle has come to us courtesy of the Western Community Board, who some years ago decided that we should have a second-hand vehicle that the council was trading in. We operate a minimum of 3 patrols in a week, usually a 2 to 4 hour per patrol. Covers both the driver and an observer. Depending on what's going on, that could be the longer period, but usually it's around the 2 to 3 hour mark. We leave it to the patrollers to decide on the actual times of the patrols. That's very much in their hands, usually Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. But we like to ring the changes, and we quite often out in the daytime and on different days so that people don't get too used to us in those particular days and times. It's quite surprising what you can find in the daylight hours. It's quite interesting to do those patrols, and you quite often get a lot more activity than the nighttime. We cover all of Kaikohe, not just the business area, but the residential areas as well. And we also include Ngāwha, Kaihau, and Ohaiwai. And the Kaihau people also look at the forest pools area during the summer period, because this time there's problems then there. We have a dual function. We do look for criminal and antisocial behaviour, but we also act as a deterrent to people who are loitering and various other things. C in the car, which is fully sign written, sends a message to people that we are actually out there, and they're perhaps better off going home than causing problems. Most of us also do things like watching out for street lights that are defunct, signage problems, all those sorts of things, and we report those to council as they occur. Our biggest costs are fuel and insurance, quite obviously. Police happily cover our fuel costs. They're not all that large. We do probably something like 200k a week in the vehicle, and it's Luna Santita, so it's not a high fuel consumption, but we don't have to worry about that. Insurance is the biggest of this other single costs, somewhere between $700 and $800, depending on the insurance company. And we're hoping that the Western Community Board can again provide a grant of $1,000 to cover that cost of insurance, registration, warrant of fitness, minor maintenance, and such as servicing costs. We operate under the umbrella of the Kaikohe Business Association, and they assist us by either paying for other costs that exceed $1,000 or enabling us to apply for funding to other organisations such as Oxford Trust if there's a major issue with the vehicle, or if we need uniform replacements. I look at the community patrols as a halfway measure between having police patrolling the streets and having none at all. And it's very unlikely that you're going to see police regularly patrolling the streets as they used to do in the old days. I don't think you'll ever see that again. And as much as people would like to see them, and there is a call for it from time to time, it's very unlikely that it will happen. We cover the whole town, as I said, before, both the business and the residential area, and we think it's quite fair that the whole community should share in the cost of providing this patrol, not just the business people. We are aware that some patrols do fundraising, but with only 9 members, all of who are active patrollers and who have active other lives, arranging funds or doing fundraising is quite a difficult task. I think in other communities they have, in larger towns, they have more administrative people on the patrols who are able to organise things like that. So that is my submission.
Right, thank you, Joe. We're going to ask you a few questions. Is Mukul still around? Mukul? No? Okay, right, let's go through the list. Louis, quick question.
No questions.
Okay, Kelly? Kelly Van Galen?
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Emma?
No, all good, thank you.
Laurie?
Are the Maori wardens involved?
Joe, Laurie's just asking if the Maori wardens are involved.
They are not involved with the community patrol. They're a completely separate organisation. They have different focus to what we do. From time to time, we do work together, but the reality is that I haven't actually seen Maori wardens out on the streets for some time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, John, questions?
No, they're pretty good. Joe, you're doing a really good job. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm pleased with that too. Alan?
I think Joe's doing a really good job as well. I do not have any questions.
Okay, now the reason I wanted Mukul to talk is because one of his other big ideas on Friday was having people patrol Kaikohe. And I just wanted him to be part of this. Never mind, he can be updated later. Okay, right, thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you very much, Joe. I'll call you later today.
Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
Right, thank you very much. Okay, so why don't we go to item number 7.2? And would someone like to be a mover on that?
What page is it on?
Oh, page 33.
I'll move it.
Okay, Alan moves. The Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board receives the report, Kaikohe Hokianga Statement of Community Fund Account as of the 30th of April 2020. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Okay, cool. Alan, do you have any comments?
No, I don't, Mike.
Okay, cool. Anybody else have any comments? Marlena, we have got confirmation that this carries over this year, don't we?
That's correct, Mike.
Right, okay. Right, any further questions? Louis?
No, that was a question I
Kelly?
had.
Okay. Kelly? Questions? Emma?
No, thank you.
Laurie?
No, thank you.
Mukul is still not here. Oh, there, Mukul. Okay. We're up to doing question on page 33, 6.2, just the report. You got any questions? I'll come back to you. John, questions?
I'm good.
Alan, any questions from you?
No, I do not have any questions.
And Mukul, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Okay, right. I'll put that to the vote then. All those in favour that the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board receives the report, Kaikohe Hokianga Statement of Community Board Fund Account as of 30th April 2020. Right, we'll take the yeses.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, are there any no's? Are there any no votes? Okay, carried. Okay, right, Moko, I just wanted you to be part of that last one with Joe of Community Patrol, because he has people that that patrol Kaikohe. Okay, which is another one of your big ideas on Friday.
I know. When I read our agenda, I was like, "Hey, my ideas are already coming to fruition." Already here.
Mind.
Right. Okay, item number 7.3 on page 36. Okay, can I have a motion for that, please?
Items. Did you say 7.3?
Yeah, I'll move that.
6.3 on. Okay, Laurie moves that the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board note the rural travel project reports from the Kaikohe Amateur Football Club and Kerikeri Gymnastics. Do I have a second up?
Yeah, I'll
second
that.
Okay, just pick a name from that, Marlena.
Can I now ask a question or?
Thank you,
Hang
Lou.
on, no, well, sorry, who moved that, by the way?
I did.
Who's the mover of record?
Laurie is the mover, and
Okay, okay, Laurie,
chose-
you get the first steps.
No, I'm happy with what's put before us. Yep.
Okay, right, we'll just go through everybody else. Emma, what do you got a question?
It's that rural fund we're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, rural. This is the project reports, the accountability report from last year.
Oh, no, it's the other one, the new one.
Okay. Moko, questions? Any questions? No. John?
Just a comment, as I said before, just reiterating what I said when I was speaking to Cheryl. It'd be nice to actually get answers to a couple of questions, do a survey to go with the report. Would be good feedback
and Laurie,
of effectiveness.
Laurie,
yep.
Maybe an amendment to the next one is your point about distance versus population. And maybe an amendment to 7.4 might be that the community board makes the representation to, or sends a letter to Sport New Zealand asking that our distances be taken into account.
Yes, certainly.
Okay, Alan?
6.4.
Because it is about travel.
Or 6.4, or it says 7.4 on my contents page, but it's actually 6.4. You're right. Okay, Alan, questions?
I'm good with that. I'm satisfied.
Okay, Louis?
Who seconded it?
Who seconded it, Marima?
That was Louis that seconded.
Louis,
sorry, you said choose, and there were a number of people.
I just wanted to know who it was. And Kelly?
No questions, no comments.
Okay, so we'll put that one to the vote. The motion is that the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board note the rural travel project reports from A, the Kaikohe Amateur Football Club, and B, the Kerikeri Gymnastics. Okay, I'll take the yeses first.
Yes.
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 Are there any no's? Are there any people who don't want to vote? Okay,
Can I just Mr. Chairman, can I just make the comment? If you read the second paragraph in the background about John Key, and it says that to help address the travel barrier and achieve the 3 Kiwi sport objectives. And I think that's a good argument for us, for the Kokos and that North Hokianga and even the South Hokianga.
Okay,
those kids need helping, and I think that's one of our arguments.
Okay, right. So why don't we start with the motion for 6.4 on page 44, and then what I'll do, Laurie, is I'll invite an amendment from you to that effect. That we write to John Key or whoever we have to write to.
Well, it'll be Sport New Zealand. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
are we moving 6.4? Sorry, Mr. Through the chair. Are we moving 6.3?
We did. We just did that.
Did?
Yeah. It moved and passed.
Done. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So 6.4, page 44. Do I have a motion?
Yeah.
I thought we had moved that already with a.
No, that was 6.3. So Laurie moves also 6.4.
Yeah, I'll move that with the addition that we make application.
Okay, so Laurie moves, and correct me if I'm wrong, Laurie, you move that the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board allocates the rural travel grant funding in accordance with the recommendations received from Sport Northland as follows. 1, Parafed Northland 777.2, Rawene School 2750, Kaikohe Rugby Football and Sports Club 2,800, Mid-North United Sports Incorporated 1,400, Northland Basketball Association 600, totaling $8,327.20, and B, that this funding is allocated subject to, number 1, the season taking place or being shortened, number 2, funding advisor on the advice of Sport Northland being authorised to reduce or decline funding granted if any money is not paid out to be carried over the next financial year, And 3, the funding advisor reporting back to the community board on any funding that has been declined or reduced on the advice of Sport Northland Community Connector. And C, right, are you ready for this, Marlena?
C, I am.
Okay, C, that the community board write to Sport Northland and ask that the...
Could you slow down, please, Mr. Chair?
Okay, it's all on recording.
Yes, community board.
And the Kaikohe Hokianga board be considered as well as population when allocating funding.
Okay, I'll take that from the recording.
Right, that suits you, Laurie? That's how you wanted to word it?
Yeah, no, I'm happy with all that. Thank you.
Okay, we have a second.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay, Laurie, do you want to speak to any of that since you're the mover?
No, I'd just like to say thanks for funding the crippled man, young man, because that's extremely important that he gets the opportunity to go to Whangarei and play his basketball in it. So I just say thank you for him on his behalf. Okay. That's the parapet Northland.
Great. Okay, so Moko, you're first this time.
No comment.
Okay,
I agree.
John. Any comments, John?
I'm good. I just speaking in that amendment we put, so it becomes a issue of adding the kilometres in as well in your round, not only population. So support it.
Okay. Okay, Alan.
Yeah, that's what we're on about.
Mike.
No comments. Okay, Louis.
Yeah, I've pushed this issue before about the distance in previous meetings. I think it's a good idea and I'm in favour of it. I don't know who ended up seconding that one.
You did.
I did. Okay.
Kelly.
Yes. The same people are always on the same list. And I know Cheryl says she goes out to all these people and, you know, they put the ad in the paper and blah, blah, blah. But maybe it needs a bigger advertising and a bigger push so that it's more than the same people every single season.
Yep.
That's all. Otherwise, I'm good.
And Emma.
Yeah, I fully support what Kelly has just said because I know some of the schools within North Hokianga are actually missing out.
Okay.
And I don't think they actually, you know, they may send a letter at the very beginning and then they don't follow it through.
Okay, right.
Mr. Chairman, my answer to that would be for Cheryl. That's really Cheryl, that's what she's on about. While she's not actually in schools, it'll be her, she should advocate. Yeah, that's her job.
Look,
that's what she's about. So I can see Cheryl doing that.
I'd love to get Cheryl back on because every time this comes up, we ask Cheryl, okay, and she always replies with the same. She goes out, she talks to everybody, she pleads with them to put the form in, okay, and so she has spoken to everybody, okay? And she has pleaded, and everybody knows they just don't do the work, and that's what it boils down to.
No, well, I disagree with that because I was teaching at Broadwood. We never got anyone to Broadwood, ever.
No, but she's spoken to Broadwood. She's spoken to everybody. I mean, she makes that point, right? Okay, so while she may not have spoken to you, she says, which I don't, and I can only trust her, that she says she's spoken to somebody from every organisation, and I don't know that she can do more than that. Catherine.
I was.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, Mr. Chairman, Joel actually lives in Rawene, I think, and he's Sport Northland.
Yeah.
So he's only go across the water to Broadwood.
Absolutely right. Catherine.
So perhaps they should touch base with Joel.
Yes.
Yeah, and as Cheryl said, Joel is the one who visits the schools. The other thing is that Cheryl does call the schools. I have called the schools. I've also gone through our community development advisors and asked them to make sure that their connections know that these things are out there. There has to be an element of self-responsibility. If whoever's getting the messages is not passing them on, there is only so much we can do.
Are you speaking to the sport advisor in the schools?
Well, Cheryl is the community connector, and as she said when she was speaking earlier, Joel is the sports person that goes into the schools, but Cheryl calls the schools. And I have also called schools because there are some where I'm sitting there going, hey, we're not getting applications from you. And they're like, well, we'll pass the message on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was just talking to one of the, to the sport advisor, and I'm saying Broadwood because I taught at Broadwood.
Well, I can only say what we are doing, Emma.
And they just don't hear anything.
Well, that might be a communication issue within the school, because if we call the office and they don't pass the message on, we do also advertise on Facebook and we do also advertise in the newspapers. So this is not a new fund, and schools have been called.
Fund, but in the years that I've been there, there's been no, I've spoken to the sports advisor. I'll get her to come back and make application.
Okay,
please do.
Kelly, yeah, I'll give you a little bit, Louis.
So my thing about like more publicity over the funding thing wasn't just for schools, because it's not just school organisations that even need this. It's other smaller clubs that, maybe they need something in the newspaper that is bigger than the silly little ad that gets put in, that actually says, hey, look what exists.
Look, I'm pretty sure, and again, I'm pretty sure Cheryl has spoken to all of these people, okay, and at some point in time, I may be wrong, but there must be at some level that the individual organisations have to take some responsibility rather than just receiving a check for doing absolutely nothing. Okay.
Yeah, I agree that people need to take that on for themselves. But sometimes if it's not in their face and they don't see it and they don't realise that that round is open or closed, and then they've missed it, and then they go, oh shit, we didn't even know.
Okay, Louis.
Yeah, the point I was going to say was like this meeting is going out onto the internet, and this discussion will be out on the internet. Here is an opportunity to sort of notify the schools of what has gone on and the discussion that's taken place, and maybe we can shame some of those schools that aren't doing it through their communities to do something about it.
Great idea, Louis. Okay, right. Well, let's put this to the vote, eh? All those in favour?
Aye.
Are there any no's? Are there any abstentions? Okay, carried. Okay, item 6.5. You're on page 61. Project funding reports.
Oh, yeah.
Do I have a motion for this, please?
Yeah, I'll move.
Okay, so Louis moves that the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board note the project reports received from the Hokianga Community Educational Trust, Festival of Change, Kohu Community Library, Kaikohe Business Association, and Rawani Golf Club. And I heard a second from John Busich. Yeah, okay, Louis, you're up first.
Yeah, I was going to say I attended quite a few functions from the Hokianga Community Educational Trust Festival of Change, and that was, I think, money very well spent. It was a fantastic number of days. There was a lot of activities and a lot of things going on that was well participated by the community and further afield.
Right, that's Louis. Kelly.
Sorry, what?
The funding reports, do you have any comments?
Nah, they look great.
Emma?
No, I'll make a report when we come to funding applications.
Okay. Laurie?
Yes, the Rawini Golf Club, that was a fantastic day. They did really, really well. So it was great success. They appreciated the support.
No comment.
John?
I'm all good.
Alan?
I participated and I agree with Louis that it was money well spent.
Right. And Louis, you moved that, didn't you? You moved that. Yeah. Do you want any final words?
No, I think it's all been said.
Let's put it to the vote then. All those in favour?
Aye.
Are there any no's? And did anybody not want to record a abstention? An abstention. Okay, thank you. Carried. Okay, right. There are 4 recommendations on item 6.6. And as we discussed before, I'll take them all at once. So who would like to vote? Sorry, who would like to move
I just have a question before we say anything, before we consider the, the funding. I noticed 3 out of 4 of the funding can go to other boards to apply for funding. I always believe that those that can only go to our board, they are disadvantaged.
Okay,
and
right.
I wonder whether they should be considered first, because all the other 3 can go to the other boards.
Okay, Emma, we'll then take that discussion as part of the motions, eh?
Okay.
Okay, it's good question. Okay, so do I have I'll take all these 4 at once for reasons that will become obvious in a second. Who wishes to move them? And do you want to put blanks in them? Okay, well, why don't I move them? There's a bit of work here, so I'm gonna move.
Mr. Chairman, why just you don't take recommendation by recommendation?
No, because what we're going to do, Laurie, is we're going to move into public exclusion so we can have a free and frank discussion.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and that way they're all on the table, and once we're in there, we'll take them one at a time, eh?
Okay.
Okay, so right, okay, so I move that the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board, in considering the provisions of the community grant policy, authorise a sum of blank to be paid from the board's community grant fund to the Bay of Islands Canine Association for costs towards community dog training classes to support the following community outcomes. Communities that are health, safety, connected and sustainable, proud, vibrant communities. Do I have a second for that one?
Yep.
Sorry. That was Alan. Okay, so we'll just, as a matter of course, lay that on the table. I move that the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board, in considering the provisions of the Kaikohe grant policy, authorise a sum of blank to be paid from the fund account to the Bay of Islands Waldorf Education Trusts for costs toward parent workshops to support the following community outcomes, and they're the same. Do I have a seconder?
Yep.
John, cool. I move that the same things of a blank for 3 per year for 3 years to the Kaikohe Business Association for the same reasons. Okay, Rocco seconds that. I'll lay that on the table. And finally, that the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board, in considering the provisions, authorises a sum of blank to be paid to Volunteering Northland for costs towards the volunteer centre recruitment and promotion to support the following community outcomes, same community outcomes. So I have a second
that as well.
Excellent, Moko. Okay, and we'll lay that on the table that I move that we exclude the public at this point, have a public exclusion, so that we can discuss this in a free and frank manner. Do I have a second for that?
Yep.
Okay, right. Did we get that resolution correct, Malima?
Yes, you did. I've got it written in. Would you like to see the resolution?
Yes, please.
One moment. Just a second, sharing my screen to you all.
Not happening. Oh, here we go.
Okay, so that's the wording of my motion. Member John Busich seconded it. Do we have any questions before I put it to the motion?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, if we could just put in the actual item number instead of items XXX.
Oh, okay. Item 6.6. Okay. Are there any discussion before I put that to the vote?
I'm just wondering about your wording, a free and frank expression of members, and I'm just wondering whether there is a legal requirement in there that somebody may be hurt or whatever by the discussions taken. I'm just wondering the legality.
Yeah, Aisha, I'm going to let you talk about that one. You're probably going to say what I say anyway. Aisha, you go.
So that is the specific wording from the Act to be able to enable the meeting to hold a free and frank discussion.
Okay, righto. Okay, thank you.
Okay, all those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? Carried. Okay, Aisha. Okay, right. Can you bring up the? Okay, now we're just going to put the numbers into those motions. So the number for the first one. $1,500. Okay, so the motion is that first motion with $1,500 in the blank. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Did you have an amendment, John, on that?
Chair, there's amendment. I move amendment to that.
Yes,
Okay,
you do. One moment, I'll put the amendment up on screen.
You're a bit fast there, sir.
Okay.
And is the amount as an amendment to the blank?
In the past, we've just put it in, and we've not bothered with the niceties of amendments because it's just what it is, right? Well, it needs
Is
to
that
go.
with the agreement of the mover and seconder?
It's the agreement. Well, let's put it this way: it's with unanimous consent. If anybody wishes to raise a point of order with us doing that, I'm certain I will listen to it. Okay. So the amendment will be an amendment though. And John Busich moves an amendment that we request council to work with the Bay Islands Canine Association.
It's slightly different. The Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board requests council to work with the Bay Islands Canine Association to publicise the dog training classes held in Kaikohe to further encourage responsible dog ownership. So it's specifically trying to get some outcomes for Kaikohe.
Excellent. Do we have a second to that?
Yep.
I'll
No
second
trouble.
that, please.
Does anybody wish to further talk about that?
No.
In that case, we'll put the amendment first. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? Carried. Right. So the whole motion becomes the original part with $1,500 in there, and the amendment with John's amendment. So all those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Right. Okay. Carried. Okay. So the second one is the Bay of Islands Waldorf. Okay, so the motion is the one on the screen that the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board, and considering provisions of the Community Grant Policy, authorises a sum of $500. All those in favour?
Aye.
Anybody wish to vote against? Anybody abstaining? Carried. Okay, the next one reads the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board authorises a sum of $1,000 per year for 3 years to be paid to the board, to the Kaikohe Business Association. All those in favour?
Aye. Aye.
Anybody wish to vote against? Carried. And finally, the last one is for $1,000 to be paid to Volunteering Northland for the cost towards the volunteer centre recruitment and promotion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? Carried. Right. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the 7.1. Page 109.
Do you need to continue seeing the screen?
No,
minutes? Okay, I'll remove that.
Now, just to let you know, I've got a 1 o'clock appointment to go to. So if we're not finished by 1 o'clock, Emma, I'll get you to carry on. I think we will be. But we do have Yako coming to talk about footpaths, and so he'll want to report on footpaths, and so I'll leave you to chair that one as well, Emma.
Okay.
Okay. So now that he doesn't require that to be in a meeting, does he, Malema? He just
No, it's just a workshop.
Okay, right. We may be finished up by then anyway.
So
Okay.
we can close that meeting.
Sorry?
We can actually close it when you and then just get the workshop.
Yeah. Okay, so the item now is 7.1. Do I have a motion on that one?
I'll move that we receive the Kaikohe Hokianga financials.
Okay, great. Do I have a seconder?
Yeah, I'll second it. Yeah, I'll second
it. Okay, do you wish to speak, Moko?
No.
Does anyone else wish to speak on that?
No.
Yeah, I'll have got a couple of points there. There's a lot of central government subsidies for new works and renewals and things like that. 322,000, I presume, and 89,000. Neither of them were budgeted in the annual plan. Is that to do with the water supplies, or is that with other things?
Is that
so?
On page 110 in the columns, the figures. It says capital income, capital central government subsidies for new works and for renewals.
Do we have a staff member?
Oh, okay. I'm sure that's just the standard subsidy, right?
Is it? Okay.
That's just the standard rate, the NZTA rate, isn't it?
Yeah, it just wasn't budgeted for, so it's 100% above what it was budgeted for. So if it is a standard one, I would have thought they would have recorded that in the columns.
Yeah, good point. Okay. Now, interestingly, you'll notice that there's an operating surplus, right? 280,000 so far at the 31st of March. Okay, and I've mentioned before that goes straight into the pot. Okay, so even though there was some central government subsidies for work done in the West that wasn't budgeted for, the West don't get any benefit from that. I've asked Janice to come back with what's happened over the last 5 or 6 years or 7 years in terms of surpluses and deficits, because my point, my contention is it's a award rate, you know, and I've also asked for the original wording of the imposition of the rate, and I don't believe for a moment that this is what the councillors at the time wanted. You know, I mean, they charge award rates for award stuff, and they should be spending the award. And in fact, that's always the way it's been communicated to us, right? Ever since I've been involved, okay, it's always been your money is spent in your area, and that is never. And from what I gather, that has never actually been the case. It all goes into a pot and just gets spent. So I think that's rough, and it's a change, and we'll make it in the next long-term plan, hopefully. But hopefully one day we'll get the information that I've asked for from Janice to let us know.
Yeah. So Mr. Chair, great point. I won't labour it, but great point. And the issue is too, so why it's so important to lay the plan out and ensure that the work is being done. And the way it works at the moment, we seem to lose the priorities, and we end up with a surplus at the end, which you correctly identify goes into an overall pot to be spent everywhere else. So it's not good for the Kaikohe Hokianga unless we actually do this correctly.
And one of the items that's been underspent has been footpaths.
Yes.
And one that have been overspent is the parks and reserves considerably.
Okay, you got Yucca on the line shortly. We can talk about that to your workshop later anyway, so it's cool.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so anybody else wish to talk on that subject before I move it on? Okay, all those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? Carried.
Thank you.
Okay. And finally, 7.2, Kaikohe Hokianga Community Hall Annual Information Update. It's just to receive the report. So who'd like to move that?
Yep.
Thank you.
That was
Laurie.
John, Laurie, okay, cool. And was it John, you second?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Laurie, do you wish to speak?
No, happy with what's there.
Okay, Moko.
I just note that in this report it says that we need to decide what steps to take next with the community hall committees who haven't provided us with a report yet.
Yeah, okay. I have asked and continue to ask for delegations with regard to halls so that we can sort this stuff out, because it's pretty messy, and I don't know, is there anything we can do? And I haven't got the answer to that question either. John?
Just a quick comment, Mr. Chair. 100% agree. The halls should be. We agreed that we're going to be delegated to the council full delegation. And what Adele, your community colleague chair in Te Heku, sent around an example of what Coromandel's done. That's worth looking at. Thank you.
Yep. Alan, I'll get to you, Louis.
Yeah, no, it's pretty plain to me, those reports, and I agree with John about that. All the halls should put in reports on time so that we're able to view those.
Well, and the other thing is, I'm sure we'll look at these reports when it comes time for funding if we need to. Louis.
Yeah, a couple of points. One on the on page 111, council-owned halls on council land. no mention is made there of the Rawani Hall and community-owned buildings and community-owned land. There is the Waitamarama Sports Complex, which is not mentioned anywhere, and that's going through some very strange happenings where the community is being pushed out by somebody that wants to take over the ownership of the place.
So is that going through council?
I don't know. Don't think so.
Who owns it?
Well, it's owned by the community.
Okay.
And but there is sort of people across the road that want to have the place. So
okay. It's trouble with community-owned things, ain't right? Kelly, you want to comment? No. Emma, you want to comment?
What happens about there's some. What's that?
Can't hear you.
We're not hearing you yet.
There's some like, and there's.
Emma, unfortunately, you are breaking up. You might want to just turn off your mic for a second and then turn it back on.
Maybe if Emma turns her video off for a brief period as well, it might improve her vocal quality.
Do you want to do that, Emma? Turn your video off and your microphone on. We'll get you back to you in a minute, Moho.
I've turned both off at the moment.
Okay, so you wanted to say something about halls. Emma?
You can hear me now.
No.
What do I do? It's been turned off. Did you turn that off, Malima?
Malima?
Yes.
Can you give her a call on a mobile and just talk her through turning her video off, and we'll get back to her in a minute for comment.
Sure, I can.
Thank you. Right, Laurie, you want us to talk about halls? Sorry, about the report?
No, all good. Yep.
Okay, and Moko, yeah, back to you.
Sorry, I forgot. I did have a question about our halls and facility strategy was put together in 2015. I was wondering, and it looks like it was put together in line with that long-term plan. I wanted to hear from staff, or does anyone know when this is due to be looked at again, or especially considering this provincial growth fund and post-COVID recovery funding that could potentially see some of these being done up and that sort of thing, if we're going to have a renewal of this strategy at all in the pipeline? It doesn't have, normally these strategies have like a end date where they'll be reviewed, but this one.
Sure. Look, I mean, I don't know, Moko, but all I know is that the board continues to ask for delegated authority over the hall so that we can put together a policy.
Yeah.
And we haven't got that yet. Even one hall would be good to get our teeth into it, right?
Yeah.
About the only thing that it's interesting at the top, it says the following table identifies the ownership details of the community halls, the various and complex circumstances per ward, and it's interesting to note that the whole handing back of the Kaikohe War Memorial Hall is not on this complex circumstances, because the council made that a district facility, and for all purposes, including rating, and that's not reflected here, which is a bit unfortunate. So I wonder whether or not your resolution or our resolution that went to council has been taken note of and was tight enough to have the hall rated on a district level, because that's worth $40 or $50 per household in the West, a reduction in rates from that hall alone. So hopefully. But Aisha, you got a point of order there?
Sorry, Nara, I just wanted to apologise that we don't have any staff available, but the benefits of technology, we can refer them to this conversation.
Right.
Also, just the Te Huka Community Board pointed out yesterday that the Broadwood asset is in the Kaikohe Hokianga ward, not the Te Huka area.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
There was one more question I had with regard to things. There's a number of halls that mention things that aren't in place. Like the open only one sort of mentions the disability access, and it says it's non-compliant. Now there is funding available at council level to do that. Should we look at what is needed there and get that work done?
Oh, look, I think so. I mean, look, that's probably either bring it as a report or bring it as an RFS, Lou, to get that report, say what is and what isn't, because I mean, we can't bring it up with this item.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Right. I'll put this one to the vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
Okay. Anyone against?
Okay, Mike.
Yep.
I've got Emma's questions.
Yeah.
So the first question Emma has is, what happens to the halls that haven't submitted their reports?
We don't know.
We burn them down.
Okay.
I mean, because we've asked you this before, and there's nothing you can do about it, right? And we've asked you this before, and there's nothing you can do about it. But we have asked for delegated authority for halls, which we can make policies that can deal with it. So we're just waiting on council.
Right. So that's the second part of your answer would answer Emma's second question, which was, part of the second question, which was, can the community boards assume delegations for the halls, and who decides that?
We're asking for it from council.
So you have your answers, Emma?
Oh, okay, right. I think we've actually voted on this. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? Right. Meeting. Thank you very much. Meeting closed.